Hey Wonderbolt builders, in today's video we're going to create a bow out of Wonderbolts and cardboard. Now it's going to be a bit different than the bow and arrow kits you buy at a toy store. The ones you buy at a toy store will have the bow made out of something like plastic, and then you'll have the string made out of an elastic. And pulling back on this elastic like a rubber band is what pushes the arrow forward. Now there's not a lot of energy stored in this elastic, so in the end this bow only goes so far, the arrow only goes so far. So what we're going to do is we're going to create an articulated bow. Where the energy is actually stored in the bow itself, and we use just a string. And by pulling back on the string, it actually flexes the bow and produces energy that's going to push the arrow forward. So let's get started. We're going to break this bow down into three parts. We're going to have the handle. And then we're going to have the two arms on either side. So the arm is going to go out a little bit further than the handle. Let's go like this. So that's one arm. Next arm will be like this. So we've got the two arms and the handle. Now what we're going to do is we're going to start putting in some Wonderbolts and attaching the elastic into this, or the bungee cord actually is what we're going to use. We'll attach that into here. So we're going to put a Wonderbolt right here. We're going to put another Wonderbolt right here. And what we're going to do is we're going to attach the bungee cord between those two Wonderbolts. So it'll go like a rubber band, but it'll be going between this and this. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to connect these two arms to the handle using a Wonderbolt over here. So let's actually extend this handle a bit further. Alright, we're going to put one Wonderbolt. Probably need an orange one here, a longer one. We're going to put one Wonderbolt right there, another one right there. Okay, and then what we're going to do is attach the string to the bow. Now what ends up happening, this is not an elastic string, but as you pull back on this string, this arm is going to pivot along that orange Wonderbolt, and it's going to stretch out the elastic or the bungee cord you have across these two Wonderbolts here. So what you end up with is the energy is being stored in an elastic that's being pulled directly apart at these two Wonderbolts. Right? The difference here is that we can tighten this. If we use a bungee cord, we can make this quite tight. So that when you're pulling back on the string, the amount of energy that's being stored in this elastic or this bungee cord is significantly greater than the amount of energy you might have in a design like this. Okay, so this is the overall design. Let's get started on building this. Okay, so we're going to get started with our cardboard now. Let's just get some measurements before we get started. So this line over here, this edge of the arm is going to be about 4 inches. We're going to put 4 right there. And we're going to make the grip about 3 inches. And the length, we'll just kind of play with that and see what happens. The reason why we're doing this a little bit larger than the grip is that we need room to put the Wonderbolts on this side so the elastic comes out in front of the bow and doesn't interfere with where you're gripping the bow. Okay, so we're making this arm a little bit wider than the actual grip. So let's get started with that. Now I'm going to be using a box knife to cut these shapes out. If you're not old enough to use a knife, please ask an adult to help you. If you are old enough to use a knife, it's still quite dangerous. These knives are very sharp and can slip easily. So please make sure that you're very careful, you're cutting slowly, and always use a sharp knife. Using a dull knife will mean that it could slip off the cardboard and you can cut your fingers. Okay, so if you're not old enough to use a knife, please ask an adult. If you are, please be careful, cut slowly, and use a sharp knife. There we go, we've got one piece. And you'll notice that I cut it along the corrugation of the cardboard. When you cut pieces along the corrugation, they're a lot stronger. If you had cut it where the corrugation was going along in this direction, it would be a lot weaker. Always make sure when you're cutting your parts that the corrugation goes along the longest length of the part you're cutting. Alright, so we're going to make this again 4 times. We're going to use 2 layers for the arms on each side. So 2 layers on the top, 2 layers on the bottom, which means I need 3 more of these. So next we're going to make the handle, the grip for the bow. And looking at our drawing, we need to make a shape that is somewhat like this. Right? Because this is where our Wondrbolts are going to go. So our 2 orange Wondrbolts are going to connect to the arms right there and there. So let's make this from here to here about 6 inches. And we'll go up another, let's say 2.5 inches here. We'll do another 2.5 here. That means the total height of this will be 11 inches. So our next step now is to connect the handles to the actual arms of the bow. And that's done using this Wonderbolt right here. There we go, now we've got our holes punched. The next step is to create the holes for the bungee cord. Alright, so now that we've got all the pieces, let's start assembling them. The next step now is to attach the bungee cord around these two parts. Alright, so now we've got the bungee cord and you can see how the elastic pulls back. Now let's attach the string. See here, this is where we're going to be attaching the string. The string will be going around the inside part of that there. So you can see now the string is going to be attached on this side and then come all the way to the other side over here. So let's get the string attached. So you can see how the string connects here. It's tied to the first nut of the first Wonderbolt and then slides over the second nut. The next thing we want to do here is we want to actually fold this back so we can tie the string across both ends. Now you'll notice that the bow actually wobbles in different directions like this. So we want to make sure that the arms actually don't go farther than they're supposed to. This arm, for example, over here is going farther in than it's supposed to. We want it to kind of be staying just about right there. So what we can do is we can add some Wonderbolts right over here to stop the arm from going any farther than that point. Okay, so that's what we're going to do next. So I hope you all liked this project. If you did, be sure to hit the like icon, that would help me out a great deal. And also subscribe to my channel if you want to see more neat projects you can do with Wonderbolts. And hit the bell icon to be notified when I publish new videos. Thanks everyone, see you next time.